Ever looked at something familiar and felt it's wrong? Let me tell you a story. There I was, staring at a logo I've seen 1,000 times before, but something just didn't add up. This wasn't how I remembered it. The colors, the shapes, the details, off somehow. It was like a jigsaw puzzle with pieces that didn't quite fit. I was sure of it, I was absolutely sure, but when I asked others, they just laughed it off, said I was imagining things. But was I? Or was something more elusive at play here? A shift in reality, perhaps? I know, it sounds like something straight out of a science fiction novel, but bear with me. This phenomenon is more common than you'd think. It's called the Mandela Effect. I swear it used to be different, but is it just me? It didn't stop at the logo, it was everywhere. Every day brought with it a new anomaly, a subtle shift in the fabric of reality. The street I'd walked down countless times, now with a sign that spelled its name differently. A familiar quote from a beloved movie, displayed in a shop window, but the words were wrong. It was as if someone had taken my world and slightly altered it, just enough to make me question my sanity. The world was changing, but only I seemed to notice. My old map, a faithful companion on many a road trip, now seemed like a relic from a parallel universe. Towns, cities, even entire countries were not where they were supposed to be. Continents seemed to have shifted overnight, their shapes and locations subtly different. Was the world changing? Or was it just my perception of it? Every time I sang along to my favorite songs, the lyrics felt off. Words I'd belted out 1,000 times before, now replaced with lyrics that felt foreign on my tongue. It was as if I had slipped into a world where my favorite band's hit single had been written just slightly differently. And then there were the books. Stories I'd grown up with, their words etched into my memory, now told a slightly different tale. Characters' names were altered, plot lines subtly shifted, endings rewritten. It was like waking up in a world where Sherlock Holmes never said "Elementary, my dear Watson," or where Darth Vader didn't confess, "Luke, I am your father." Each time a jolt, a sense of disquiet that gnawed at me. I was living in a world that was familiar yet foreign, like a dream that was just out of reach. Was I losing my mind? Or was this reality as unstable and fluid as it seemed? I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was fundamentally wrong. It was a question that echoed in my mind, haunting my waking hours and invading my dreams. Am I going crazy? I had to find answers. I couldn't be the only one. The internet, my only recourse, became my sanctuary, my virtual library, my confidant. Hours turned into days as I delved into the depths of countless forums, blogs, and research papers. It was like peeling back layers of a mystery, each click a new revelation. There were others like me. People, just as bewildered, just as desperate for answers. They too remembered things differently. They too felt that unsettling jolt of reality gone awry. It wasn't just me. It wasn't just my mind playing tricks. And then I stumbled upon a term that echoed my experiences like a mirror reflecting my own face, the Mandela Effect. Named after the late Nelson Mandela, it's a phenomenon where a large group of people remember an event or detail one way, while reality presents a starkly different version. People who could swear, just like me, that the Monopoly man had a monocle, or that the Fruit of the Loom logo had a cornucopia. The more I dove into the Mandela Effect, the more the pieces fit. The mismatched logos, the misquoted movie lines, the geographical discrepancies. It was like a puzzle coming together, each piece clicking into place. This wasn't just about faulty memories or collective misrememberings. This was about something deeper, something that tugged at the very fabric of our perceived reality. Could it be that we were living in parallel universes? Sliding between dimensions without even realizing it? The possibilities were both exhilarating and terrifying. If this was true, then the world was far more complex and wondrous than any of us could have imagined, and yet it was also more unnerving, more unpredictable. Turns out I'm not alone. Is this some glitch in reality? The question hung in the air, a haunting echo of the journey I'd embarked on. But I was no longer lost in the abyss, no longer alone. I had a name for my experiences, a community of fellow seekers, and a thirst to uncover the truth. Then I met someone someone who looked at me with knowing eyes. It was a chance encounter, a serendipitous meeting at a coffee shop. He was a stranger, yet he seemed to understand the turmoil inside my head. He could see the confusion and the fear that had become my constant companions. He leaned in closer and said, "You see it too, don't you?" His words hit me like a lightning bolt. I sat there stunned as the realization sank in. I wasn't alone. There was someone else who saw the subtle changes in the world around us. Someone else who remembered things the way they used to be, not the way they were now. His empathy was like a balm to my frayed nerves. We spent hours talking, swapping stories of mismatched memories and alternate versions of reality. Each shared experience, each validation of my memories, lessened the weight of the burden I'd been carrying. The relief was overwhelming. I was not going mad, I was not delusional. I was just different. And for the first time in a long time, I felt a glimmer of hope. I wasn't alone in this. I had an ally in this strange, shifting world. And as I looked into the eyes of my unexpected ally, I found the strength to say the words I'd been too afraid to utter before. I thought I was alone. We started digging deeper. We came up with a theory. What if the changes we perceive aren't mere figments of our imagination? What if they're real? What if we're actually experiencing a phenomenon that transcends our understanding of reality as we know it? Imagine you're standing at the edge of an endless ocean. Each wave that crashes against the shore isn't just water, but a separate universe. Each one slightly different from the last, each one with its own history, its own reality. Now imagine that we are like pebbles on that shore, tossed around by the waves of the multiverse, slipping from one universe to another. But here's the twist. What if, as we slide between these universes, we retain our memories from the previous ones? That song you remember, the movie line, the logo, they were all real, but in another universe. Each jarring change, each dissonant memory, is evidence of our journey through the multiverse. Sound crazy? Perhaps. But it's a theory that offers an explanation to the inexplicable. It gives a name to the eerie feeling of misremembering, to the unsettling sense of not quite belonging. What if I'm sliding between universes? What if this is bigger than any of us realize?